Bears fans, Dustin Davis here. A single from Crosby has Chicago buzzing, and it opens the door to a conversation the front office can't ignore. The Chicago Bears face critical choices this offseason. After reaching the divisional round with an 11-7 record, the organization must now confront uncomfortable questions about roster construction, financial flexibility, and long-term vision. While success breeds optimism, it also exposes limitations that cannot be ignored. Ben Johnson's arrival brought renewed energy and tactical sophistication. Yet gaps remain across the depth chart, from the salary cap to the secondary, from pass rush to receiver hierarchy. The Bears front office will navigate competing priorities that could define the franchise's trajectory for years. Each decision carries weight, and missteps could stall momentum before it fully materializes. Chicago's leadership must determine which pieces align with the system, which relationships are worth preserving, and which investments will yield the greatest return. That being said, let's move on to another roundup of news, rumors, and everything that's been happening in Chicago in the last few hours. Quick head. If you like what we're doing, could you tap that like button? It's a great way to support us, and it won't cost you a thing. Thanks a million. The first decision on the table involves the roster's biggest contract. Chicago appears ready to pursue offensive upgrades, but that evolution might exclude DJ Moore, the team's highest-paid wideout. Moore possesses undeniable ability and credentials, yet his future with the Bears has become uncertain as cap considerations, personnel philosophy, and scheme alignment intersect. National media figures have intensified discussions around Moore's availability, framing him less as a cornerstone and more as a financial tool that could unlock future roster flexibility. Chicago's decision-makers now face the challenge of weighing current output against the benefits of reallocating significant resources elsewhere. Moore stands as both the roster's top pass-catching talent and its heaviest cap commitment. His $28.5 million charge for the coming campaign marks the opening year of a 4-year extension totaling $110 million. The structure, heavier on base salary rather than bonuses, has fueled persistent speculation about his availability on the trade market. ESPN personalities have openly addressed Moore's trade likelihood. On January 18th, Ben Solak projected Chicago would part with Moore, citing depth at the position following the additions of Rome Odunze and Luther Burden III. Solak noted that Moore's contract design makes a transaction feasible despite 4 years remaining, and emphasized Moore's continued appeal to clubs seeking proven receiver production from a 29-year-old veteran. Bill Barnwell followed by naming Moore among probable wideout trade candidates this offseason, suggesting a mid-round selection could be reasonable compensation. Barnwell stressed that moving Moore would liberate roughly $24.5 million in 2026 spending, capital that would enable Johnson and general manager Ryan Poles to reshape the offense according to the coach's preferred blueprint. Johnson's offensive philosophy leans heavily on 12 personnel formations, featuring 2 tight ends, evidenced by first-round investment in Colston Loveland and the second-round selection of Luther Burden. Rome Odunze's top 10 draft position the previous year and Cole Kmet's $50 million tight end extension further reflect a roster constructed around dual TE sets and a robust ground game. This tactical and personnel direction doesn't naturally place Moore at the center of Johnson's system. While a receiver of Moore's caliber offers advantages, his role may be surplus and costly considering the roster's current makeup and his status as the team's most expensive player. I like DJ Moore's game, but this feels like a money versus fit issue. When you're building around tight ends and the run, a top-paid wideout sticks out. If the numbers don't line up, tough calls follow. Would you move him or keep the proven weapon? Keep it or trade it? Leave your answer in the comments. While offensive changes loom, the defensive backfield presents an equally urgent challenge that could reshape the entire secondary. Kevin Byard's looming free agency has become a particular focus of speculation, both because of his on-field contributions and because clubs like the Dallas Cowboys may present an attractive opportunity he cannot ignore. With only practice squad safety Gervarius Owens signed for 2026, Chicago must secure at least 2 starting caliber safeties plus adequate depth. Losing multiple starters simultaneously would necessitate either aggressive re-signings or a comprehensive secondary restructuring. Kevin Byard, who topped the NFL with 7 interceptions and earned first-team All-Pro recognition, recognition, is the premier target. Cowboys Wire's Ray D. Hansen wrote on January 21st that safety represents a rich free agent class, but Dallas holds a pressing need for at least one starter-level safety. Hansen mentioned Andre Sisco, Jalen Thompson, Reed Blankenship, and Jaquan Brisker as potential additions. Byard, however, surpasses that group in both production and leadership qualities. Byard's statistical contributions, 93 tackles alongside his interception total, and intangibles, including serving as a team captain in 2025, and functioning as a respected voice in the locker room, make him an appealing option for a Cowboys secondary lacking consistent veteran presence. That external interest complicates Chicago's retention efforts. Byard has expressed his desire to stay in Chicago while recognizing practical factors for his family when considering proposals, telling the Chicago Sun-Times he will make the optimal decision for his household. General Manager Ryan Poles confirmed the organization's interest in re-signing Byard, but acknowledged cap limitations and competing roster needs that will complicate discussion. If Chicago cannot equal an external proposal, the Bears will forfeit both production and leadership, benefits for whichever team signs Byard, and a tangible setback for Chicago. I've seen teams underestimate this phase before. Veteran leader, young room, tight cap. When that veteran leaves, the drop-off shows fast. If Chicago can't match the market, history says the adjustment period gets painful. Do you see it the same way? A fresh report suggests Chicago may target a proven defender who could immediately upgrade their pass rush and transform the front seven. The immediate focus is remedying a roster shortfall that capped the club's potential last season. Generating pressure on opposing quarterbacks stands as the most pressing requirement. Pro Football Focus ranked Chicago 25th in pass rush, and although Montez Sweat paced the team with 10 sacks, his PFF pass rush grade was modest compared to peers. This inconsistency makes securing a disruptive, versatile defensive lineman a sensible objective. Chicago's culture and recent accomplishments should position it as an appealing option during this free agent period. Players pursuing a competitive environment and clear developmental trajectory are likely to regard the Bears as a destination to compete and restore value, which could assist Ryan Poles in negotiation. Bleacher Report ranked John Franklin Myers among the top 5 projected free agents, and specifically identified Chicago as a potential destination. Christopher Knox emphasized 9-year-old consistent production and positional versatility, qualities that align smoothly with Dennis' defensive scheme. Knox referenced Franklin Myers' 2-year combined numbers, 14.5 sacks, 44 quarterback pressures, and 14 tackles for loss, as proof of reliable impact, especially considering he compiled those figures while rotating with talented rushers including Nick Bonito, Zach Allen, and Jonathan Cooper. This combination of edge rushing and interior work holds value for a coordinator pursuing scheme adaptability. Franklin Myers can move inside on early downs or attack the edge on third down, offering a scheme matchup pass set. In a defense expected to add complementary personnel through free agency or the draft, his flexibility simplifies schematic planning and creates favorable lineup combinations. Knox anticipates a 3-year contract worth up to $44 million for Franklin Myers. The Bears currently project limited cap room for 2026, approximately $4.3 million. But strategic roster adjustments could generate additional space for a prioritized acquisition. This one feels straightforward to me. If you can't pressure cornerbacks, nothing else holds up. Franklin Myers fits because he moves around and produces. If the money works, you do it. Would you rather draft help or buy reliability? Meanwhile, one All-Pro edge rusher's recent comments have sparked a social media firestorm and reignited blockbuster trade speculation. Maxx Crosby has again expressed admiration for Chicago Bears quarterback Caleb Williams, and his remarks have reignited trade speculation among the Bears fan base. Crosby's appreciation for Williams' clutch performance in the divisional round and his documented affinity for Chicago has supporters envisioning a scenario where the elite edge rusher relocates north to team with the franchise's young passer. Chicago's requirement for enhanced pass rush capability is evident, and Crosby would represent an immediate upgrade. The Raiders' All-Pro remains among the league's most reliable interior and edge threats, and acquiring him would dramatically reshape the Bears' defensive identity. On the January 20th episode of his podcast, The Rush with Maxx Crosby, he reviewed and analyzed the moment that characterized the Bears' comeback effort, the deep touchdown connection from Caleb Williams to Cole Kmet in the final seconds. In vivid language, he described the throw as among the most remarkable plays he'd witnessed, expressing wonder at Williams' composure under duress and the improbability of the completion considering field position and defensive pressure. Crosby's unfiltered reaction, an expletive-filled expression of astonishment at the throw's difficulty and the quarterback's determination, resonated broadly. Such emphatic praise from an elite defender carries significance among fans and evaluators, particularly because Crosby has extensive experience facing premier quarterbacks and assessing their competitive characteristics. The response among Bear supporters was swift. Social posts celebrated the compliment, memes circulated widely, and fans openly debated trade scenarios. Comments range from lighthearted appeals like Maxx Crosby wants to be a Bear to earnest proposals of hypothetical trade structures. The viral quality of Crosby's statements demonstrates how rapidly a single comment can alter offseason discourse. Crosby's 2025 campaign was disrupted by a knee injury that ultimately placed him on injured reserve in late December. He received successful surgery and has publicly targeted a summer 2026 comeback. This recovery timeline matters for both the Raiders' valuation and the Bears' assessment, as medical clearance would influence any trade consideration. Crosby has also voiced frustration regarding how the Raiders handled his injury, a detail that adds dimension to trade speculation. However, public dissatisfaction alone rarely forces trades. Cost, draft capital, and long-term fit remain primary factors. The matchup between Crosby and Williams has generated mutual respect. Following an earlier regular season contest, Crosby commended Williams' competitiveness, recognizing the quarterback's toughness and playmaking capacity. Williams' reciprocal admiration, liking a photo of Crosby in a Chicago uniform, only heightened the spectacle. Crosby's praise for Ben Johnson's offensive expertise, singling him out as among the league's finest play callers, further clarifies why Chicago appeals to him. At the Bears' season-ending press conference, GM Ryan Poles delivered a measured response when questioned whether Crosby was a trade target, replying with a cautious, "I don't know," and a slight smirk. Poles' refusal to definitively dismiss a trade has done little to suppress speculation, and the ambiguity has been interpreted by supporters as evidence the front office might explore aggressive moves. Yet a Crosby acquisition would demand substantial compensation. The Raiders' general manager, John Spytek, has spoken positively of Crosby's value to the franchise, praising his intensity and cultural alignment in Las Vegas. Such statements suggest they consider him foundational, and they would likely require premium draft capital and potentially a player in exchange. One hypothetical trade circulated on social platforms envisions the Raiders receiving a 2026 first-round pick, a 2027 fourth-round pick, and DJ Moore, while the Bears acquire DE Maxx Crosby. In this framework, Chicago adds a superstar rusher while Las Vegas gains immediate draft assets and a complementary receiver for a projected top overall pick. Though speculative, such a structure illustrates the magnitude of resources required. Crosby's 2025 performance, 10 sacks, 73 tackles, 28 for loss, 20 QB hits, 2 forced fumbles, 6 passes defended, and an interception demonstrates his disruptive capacity. Beyond statistics, Crosby brings relentless effort, leadership, and aggressive playing style that embodies the Raiders' identity. These traits explain why multiple teams would pursue him if available. For Chicago, Crosby would pair with an ascending defensive core and could be deployed as a primary edge presence or rotationally to maximize pass rush snaps. I'll be honest, hearing an elite rusher hype your quarterback gets fans dreaming fast. Crosby in Chicago would be nasty, no doubt. But if the price is massive picks and players, that excitement cools quick. Would you still pull the trigger? Leave your point of view in the comments. Don't forget, subscribe to join our fan base and stay up to date. Let's grow stronger with Bears. Until next time.